Hello, and welcome to another iteration of the SDM Foundation's Tech Talks that go on our local broadcasting station, MMTV, as well as YouTube. My name is Thatcher, and today we're going to be going over setting up a brand new or refurbished Windows computer. So right here we have a Surface Book, just a regular Microsoft Surface that has been wiped clean. So, first thing we're going to do is turn it on and then go through the steps of setting it up. So our power button should be right there, and there we go. One of the reasons that we're doing this is because there has been a slight change in Microsoft's use of Bitlocker, which is something that comes up at some point during the installation of Windows. So basically what we're going through now during the initial setup. And it's something that, a lot of people maybe skip past or don't exactly read, but it's something that is pretty important, because if you decide to set up a BitLocker key, that means that you are encrypting your files behind the key. And if Microsoft ends up asking you for that key so that you can access your files, if you don't know the key, then you can't access your files, which is quite the problem. So that's why when you set up your computer, it's really important to pay attention to everything that it's asking you. And my recommendation would be that if you don't understand what it's asking you, you ask someone else, do a Google search, or maybe give us a call to try and figure out what you should do. So right now we just got to a point where we can start making some decisions. So obviously we're going to choose the United States as our country. We're going to choose a United States keyboard layout. We're not going to add any secondary keyboard layouts. And now it is checking for updates from Microsoft to see what the most current version of Windows 11 needs to be installed, and if there are any other underlying installations that need to be made, like security, etc. All right. So now we're going to name the device. I'm going to call it the SDM Surface. And there's going to be an underscore because it says it can't contain spaces. I suppose I could also skip it for now, but no, we'll just say next. So a lot of the process when it comes to initially setting up a computer is waiting and being patient and looking for signs that there's actually a problem, opposed to just a problem with your patience. So right now all I have to do is wait. Windows is doing its thing, and it was indicating that it was still doing so with the circle. It was the previous circle. The fact that it was moving means that it was not frozen. It was working, making an attempt to do what it needs to do. So here's our third iteration of a spinning circle that means just that. And now that it's done, we can set it up. All right. So this is going to depend on your situation. Since this is a demonstrative purpose, I can really just choose either one. But, since I'm at work, I'm going to go ahead and choose to set it up for work. Actually, I'll do personal use because that's what most people would be doing. So here it's saying, you know, here's some stuff that you get access to, and why they are pushing for you to, you know, sign in with a Microsoft account. All right, and so I'm going to log in with one of our Microsoft accounts. Just one moment. So now that I've entered my Microsoft account information, it is accepting that I am going to be the new main user of this computer. So we're going to set it up as a new PC. But before I do that, something important to note is that in that previous step, setting it up as, you know, tying it to my Microsoft account, that is something I would recommend because it makes the security more adept, as well as potentially gives you some easier ways to get into the computer, such as like face recognition, or sometimes you know, a fingerprint ID if the computer has that. But you would need to have a Windows account for that, you know, logged in like I just did, as well as the Bitlocker thing that I was mentioning earlier is sort of probably easier to deal with if you have a Microsoft account, because then there's at least some official documentation, at least as far as Microsoft's concerned, that like you as a individual are the one who set up that computer. However, like I said, Bitlocker keys are pretty final, so I wouldn't rely on that too much. So we're going to set this up as a new PC. Like I was talking about, you know, because I chose to use a Microsoft account, but allow me to use Windows Hello to recognize my face to sign in, we're going to not do that. Instead, we're going to create a PIN, which we could also make just a password if we decided to include letters and symbols, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to keep it as a PIN. And there we go. So even though a lot of the time is spent just waiting, in the times when you do have to make a decision, it really is best to know exactly what you're making a decision on. So here's some privacy settings that I'm going to decide whether I want them on or off by default at the beginning. So location, it's going to keep that on so that I can use location services such as Find My Device, which will allow me to see where my device is if I log into my Microsoft account on a different computer. Another good reason to use a Microsoft account when setting up a Windows computer. Diagnostic data, no, because some of it is just going to, let's see. I guess since that's only Windows. Alright, inking and typing. Oops, didn't mean to click that off, but I'm going to click it back on because that's the type of thing that makes accessibility features better. But it's personal decision. If you don't want any sort of data of yours, even if it's just things that probably have no impact on you whatsoever, you can take these off. Tailor experiences, those I would recommend turning off because it's ads, as it says. Alright, and so then here is where you would check the things that relate to what you plan to do on the computer. And if you're like, well, I don't know, I just go and check my email and do the Google. I would say just choose entertainment and then go ahead and accept. But anybody that has, some a more specific idea of what they're trying to do, you can choose the things that are, most closely related, or just skip it. In this case, I think I'll actually just go ahead and skip it. As well as this one, because I'm not going to attach my phone to the computer. But it's good to know that that's another possibility. And this is a similar idea. So it would be very much like iCloud. If you were to sync your phone to the computer, then you could have OneDrive, which is Microsoft's cloud service. Inherently take your photos from your phone and upload them. But we're not going to do that. Interesting. I don't like that. This doesn't sound... I don't like this. Yeah, I don't like that. What it's saying, if any of this doesn't make sense to you, is that let's say you use a different place to get to the internet, or a different internet browser like Google Chrome. If you then opened up Microsoft Edge, it would have all of the data from Chrome, like your favorites, browsing history, cookies, and other things like that. You should be able to do that on your own by exporting and importing. I don't like the idea of Microsoft inherently having access to that data. But it's all a personal decision. This is absolutely an ad though. Yeah. Free trial, Microsoft 365, and then you'd be charged. So we've already got that. I've already got mine personally as well. I don't need any more Microsoft Office. This is for gamers. It's actually a pretty good deal, but I don't think too many of our audience members are gamers, so definitely skip this if that's the case. And the reason why something like this is even there is because Microsoft owns Xbox, one of the popular gaming consoles, or gaming companies, if you will. All right, and like it says, might take a few minutes, so we're just gonna sit back and wait. I'm probably gonna speed this bit up. Alright, and now we're here in Microsoft Windows 11 with a new setup.
If this were a true out-of-the-box experience, we would have had to deal with Bitlocker during the setup, but because this is a reset PC where we just installed Windows 11 again for the first time, we have to manually go find Bitlocker ourselves. You can do that by searching for Bitlocker in the search bar you bring up by hitting the Windows button or the little magnifying glass. And then here we are in settings, where we can get a little bit more information about Bitlocker as well as turn it on. So we turn on Bitlocker, and then the first thing we have to do is save our key in at least one way. So what I'm going to do is print it so I can have a physical copy of the key I need. And then I'm also going to save it. First, print that out. And sort of freezes up on me for a moment, so I try and get it to print again, but then it works. And what we get, as you can see, it's freezing up, but after it does print, this here is what we get. A sheet that has our identifier for the machine as well as the recovery key that we would use to recover information from the drive we just encrypted with Bitlocker. And another way to save it is to save it as an actual file. And if you try and save it on the drive that you're encrypting, it's going to tell you, no, 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 no. That makes no sense. You can't do that. So then what we have to do is get a external drive or some sort of USB stick, whatever you want, that is going to be a different location besides the one that we're encrypting. So I'm going to go grab a USB stick to throw it in to give us a D drive so I can save this file there as well. And as you can see, first I just created a folder to make it clear what I'm storing inside of it, what this saved file is, so that I can easily go find it when I need to get into the encrypted drive if the occasion calls for it. So just hitting save, and that finalizes it, allows it to go through this time because it's on a different drive. And then we just continue with the process and then let Bitlocker do its thing in the background, taking some time to encrypt things. And then let's say you're like, I didn't want to do that. I don't even know what encryption means. If you're still on the screen or if you come back here, so if you're able to log in normally, we should be able to just go ahead and turn it off, and it will once again say it needs some time to do so, but you're able to go about your business while it takes care of that in the background and just turns off Bitlocker. Alright. And that pretty much concludes the video on a Windows 11 computer experience out of the box, as well as how to deal with Bitlocker. Just remember that if it's a completely new computer, you'll have a slightly different experience because Bitlocker will force its way into your life while you're setting up the computer, opposed to you going to find it after the fact. Thanks. See you next time. So we're going to take some time to talk about VPNs because it is something that many people ask about. It's something that has to do with internet safety, and people think that it will generally just be a good decision to have one, but in all honesty, probably don't exactly know what it does. So here we are on a MacBook, and we're in settings, and when we hit about VPNs and privacy, we get some information here. So I'm just going to read these first two paragraphs. VPNs can be set up to control the routing of certain network traffic. A virtual private network, which is what VPN stands for, is a service that can encrypt and route certain network traffic from your device in a way that may hide your IP address from the websites and services you visit and interact with. Even when a VPN is active, some traffic that is necessary for essential system services will take place outside the VPN so that your device can function properly. And there's more, but that is all very Apple specific. So here is a little graphic I put together. So the way that connecting to the internet without a VPN works is that you have your device, which can be a computer, laptop, iPhone, iPad, anything that is able to connect to the internet, smart TV, whatever. And that device connects to your internet service provider because that's who you buy the service from. So Verizon, Comcast, you could have a third-party router or modem, but most likely you would have a box from one of those companies if you live in the greater Boston area. And that box is what allows your device to connect to the internet service provider, and then they connect you to the internet as a whole. And that connection is how you get Wi-Fi in your home, so that any other devices you have can also connect to the Wi-Fi network that this route here creates. But if we use a VPN, it's a little bit different. So you have your device, and on your device you would have the VPN software. So maybe some of you have heard of some of them, like Surfshark or NordVPN. I think Norton and maybe McAfee, plenty of antivirus companies have VPNs as well. Antivirus software companies. So that software, as long as you pay for it, you can also have that. And because that software is what you run on your device, when connecting to your internet service provider, the VPN software tells like the connection to go to the VPN's servers before connecting you to the internet. And these VPN servers can be all over the place. They can be, nearby, like in a closest major city, or somewhere within your region, or it could be in a different country across the world. And whichever server you connect to, that is where it shows your connection is coming from to the services and websites that you access on the internet. So it creates your network that you end up creating, the Wi-Fi network that you have, is sort of in a protected bubble, if you will, so that it doesn't show your network connecting to these services or your devices, but it shows that happening from one of the VPN services servers. So instead of getting, up here in this example, let's say that you're on your device and you go to any website, really. That website knows that through your internet service provider, you connected to their website because each device has an address attached to it, an IP address. And that IP address gets sent to the internet service provider, and then that gets sent along through to the service you're connecting to, so the website, whatever. And with the VPN, because of the VPN software, that number gets scrambled, as well as, the fact that it's your network connecting through the ISP, so both the device and the network are hidden, and that's why the network that you have access to when you're running a VPN, your Wi-Fi is more secure and private, meaning that any website or service information gathered to try and, sell you products or get a better advertisement profile on who you are isn't exactly going to work because they can't necessarily identify that it's you, or because the information will be off, things like that. It's not the type of thing that most people really need to worry about or use, but it is a way to have more anonymity on the internet. A common use for it, which certain companies don't like because it's getting around some of their policies, but one of the popular uses is to set your VPN server in a different country that has, different media access. So like Netflix has different libraries in different countries, so there might be a show that's not available in your country but is available in another, and a VPN connection is the type of thing that allows you to access that. However, obviously companies like Netflix don't like that, so they're constantly combating it, so it's a lot more complicated than all this, but this is the basic, general outline for how things work when you're using a VPN, and I think that's about